So, what day is today, Jay?
Valentine's Day.
And what do they call it in Parks and Rec the day before?
Galentine's.
So we should start Palentine's Day
Oh,
for the pals.
I like that. Palentine's.
Right?
Yeah, I like that.
I just thought of that. For the pals. Well, I was thinking about this real quick. Who's your favorite Palentines, dude? What pals do you have? TV-wise, movie-wise, fake-wise, of course, to not start fights with our real pals.
I really like Sean and Gus.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What are their names on Scrubs?
It's
Tucker
JD and Turk.
JD and Turk. Sorry, dude. All I could think of was Zach Braff. I'm like, that's his name in real life, not his name in the show.
They're real friends in real life, man. It's weird.
So are Sean and Gus.
Dude, that's so weird.
Who are your favorites?
I like those two are good. Lately, it's been a little bit of IT crowd with Moss and Roy, just because it's been a little different.
I like that.
Yeah, and then always we have to go to Troy and Abed in the morning. Nice.
I like that one too.
Yeah, so there are famous pals out there.
I was gonna say one other. Who was I gonna say? I just had it on the tip of my tongue. I like Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun one, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, we did forget our go-to of Nick and Schmidt, but everyone knows we love them.
Right, it's so true. Okay, so if you have to give another, if we had to dedicate the show to one Palentine, who would it be?
I'd have to say Sean and Gus, man.
Okay.
What about you?
Sure, Sean and Gus works.
It's hard because sometimes I go like Chuck and Morgan from Chuck.
Morgan's just kind of a weasel sometimes, though.
Yeah, but it just works though. They're like a true bromance.
What about
Palentine?
What about Dennis and Charlie?
Which one?
Dennis and Charlie.
He doesn't, dude. Charlie thinks he's a bastard man. You can't.
I was setting you up for that.
Why Charlie no like, man?
Why Charlie hate? I don't think I wrote that.
This is definitely your handwriting.
No one else here is illiterate. This is obviously you. Let's talk about a bromance that may or may not be a bromance. I was going to say Deku and Bakugo.
From My Hero Academia.
Yeah. Unless was there something else you wanted to talk about before we jumped into?
No, dude, let's jump into this. Because I struggle with... I always mess them up, which is which. I struggle with Bakugo. Because he's a D-bag, man. Like, he's always so angry.
I know.
But, yeah, this is from My Hero Academia, a show about superhero college kids. So, Sky High meets anime?
I've heard it described as Sky High meets One Punch Man.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. And I would say this about My Hero Academia, too. You can find it on Hulu if you wanted to stream it. It's a pretty good show at drawing you in. The basic premise is it's an anime where these kids start developing superpowers, but they call them quirks, and it's very much not your cliche superhero story. That would be my elevator pitch meeting. What about you?
No, I like that. Yeah, it's superheroes going to school because everyone on Earth, like 98%, right, is born with a quirk.
It was like 80, I thought.
Right, yeah, it's a high number. It's a high number. So because they have all those quirks, right, they're allowed to get paid to be heroes. So it's a job. It's not like you're not vigilantes. You're literally part of the police. You're part of the neighborhood. So it's a good take on superheroes.
And they do a lot of cool stuff that you don't typically see. Like the superheroes are licensed. They're like basically what the Accord forms in Marvel were trying to do, where you have licensed superheroes that, you know, have certain regulations and oversights and everything else. It's kind of like that, if that makes sense.
You just had to bring it back to Marvel, didn't you?
You're wearing the shirt. It's all I can think about.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's similar to that. But it's a cool take. But it is true. We're in season 6 right now. I know we take our time talking about anime because it's not our strongest suit. But they're in season 6, and no spoilers, but it took me 6 seasons to get a little bit on a Bakugo side. I'm gonna mess it up a lot.
To start to not hate him.
Yeah. And it was literally like, I have a hard time with fast-paced animation subs. I can't read them fast enough with all the action. It hurts my head. So I need to watch it dubbed. So it's always a little behind. Hulu takes its time dubbing it. Cartoon Network does it a little faster. So I've been able to just watch it on the DVR. But yeah, it took me 6 seasons to not want him to kick him in the head.
It's so true. He's a very derivative in his mood and in his dialogue. Like, he says the same thing every episode. Like, I'm gonna kill you, and it's like, all right, can you come up with like a different, can you say I'm gonna dismember you, or I'm going to carterize you, or I'm like, come up with something other than just kill, or you know what I mean? Like, even say destroy, like, but literally it's every episode he says, I'm gonna kill him, and it's like, okay, no, you're not.
Yeah, we get it. You're angry. We get it. Like, so they all have different quirks or powers, right? And his is just exploding arms, so he's angry the whole time. Explosions. And he's super powerful though. He's not like a level 1 hero. Like, he can be Pulse Ultra.
No, they say he's got one of the top quirks out there. One of the most high-powered quirks in existence. I was gonna say that's one thing I like about the show is the characters, although over-dramatized, are very they're very distinct and fleshed out. You know what I mean? Like, each character is very different.
So just a quick start. It's all about Midoriya, who doesn't have. We're gonna go spoiler a little bit.
Let's keep it spoiler free for just a second, and then we'll transition.
Yeah, it's about one kid who doesn't have powers yet, and it builds a story around him.
Correct. So as he's starting, so we'll just say he's enrolled in the hero school. We won't mention anything about his powers, but he gets enrolled in the school. And there he becomes involved with some of the other students. So there's a girl there who can control gravity. There's one who's basically just a frog. And they all have super distinct personalities. I don't know. I guess, with that in mind, that's about as far as we can go. Do you have an elevator pitch to get, like, if someone hasn't watched it at this point, what's something you would tell them that would draw them in before we get into spoilers? It's
not a heavy anime, because sometimes animes are super heavy, like emotional or like in depth. It's not too heavy, but there's a great story to it. And I'll give my personal a little on a good testimonial that I was watching the show and it motivated me.
I like that. Yeah, it's definitely not Attack on Titan.
No, which is the only two that I really, really watch, but that's different.
And it moves quicker, I would say. The story tends
so
to
much
move quicker. There's a faster pace than Attack on Titan, which is kind of a slow burn. A beautiful burn, but a slow one.
And it's also good. You can knock out, if you're watching it, they kind of spend like a whole series in one thing. Like, one storyline is almost a whole season. So you don't need to worry about, it's like 1 semester, 2 semesters, and you kind of move around.
Yeah, it's true. And I like that the episodes are only 20 minutes, so they move really fast.
Oh, but I hate there's like I've started it, and it's like 7 minutes in, and then it finally starts.
And they, like, a lot of times during breaks, because it's formatted for TV, will, like, 2 steps forward, 1 step back kind of thing, where they, will show the same scene over again.
It has a very long intro, just every time.
It's true. Okay, so I think that's a good enough elevator pitch. We kind of both did ours. Let's jump into some spoilers.
Okay, so the whole premise of Midoriya is that he has nothing, right? You can relate to him. Hey, he's quirkless, right? And he wants to just be a hero. That's his whole life. And then he runs into Mr. All Might, the strongest humorist. The most American-looking Japanese guy you'll ever...
Who says things like, Oklahoma smash!
Yeah, they do that. St. Louis punch! And I go, but we're in Japan. What's going on?
He did have an internship in America, it says, though, so I think that's where he gets that from.
Yeah, but then Midoriya does it, like in this season, he switches it up and he calls it the same idea.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, so, and it was really cool because it was kind of a inherent trait that he gets that he earned by just being fearless. He's not born with it, right? He earned it. He earned the power of All Might, which is almighty, right?
Yeah. One thing I like about the show is it takes a very long time to have Midoriya, to have Deku like transition into the power. You know what I mean? Like there's costs to the power. Like he'll overdo it sometimes. Like his body can't handle it. He breaks his arm. There's actual consequences to it. Whereas a lot of superhero films, like you've seen Multiverse of Madness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end when Doctor Strange gives her a pep talk and he's like, "The power's been in you all along. You know what you're doing." Like I can't stand that. And All Might's not like that at all. Like All Might, when the power starts to transition to Midoriya, he says, you know, like, hey, your body's not going to be able to take this. Like you have to train for it, and it's going to take you a few years to even be able to use it to the extent that I do.
Yeah, he gets beat up pretty bad. He uses like 1% of it, and his body almost breaks down.
He's constantly breaking his fingers and arms in the beginning.
Yeah, his arms, everything just breaks. But yeah, dude, I really did struggle with freaking Bakuga, dude. He's I'm gonna mess it up the whole time, but he's hard, dude. That's kind of like, I get you have to be an antagonist and a pain, and like they're frenemies. Now that no Palantines, they're just straight frenemies. But I got tired of him so fast.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I would say Bakugo, from the beginning, I haven't enjoyed his character. Like, he has cool moments where I really like him, but overall, I still don't like his character. I haven't enjoyed him. But on the flip side, Shoto, right from the get, I've really liked. He's the Fire and Ice.
Yeah, he's
Todoroki.
His dad is the number 2 hero, because they're rankings, right? That's what's really cool too. It's like you can be the best, but you also have rankings, right? Number 1 hero, number 2 hero. So his dad is number 2. He's a legacy.
Yeah, he's a big deal, and his dad is really cool. Endeavor is awesome. Evil, like I don't know how he's a hero with all the crap he's pulled, but he is awesome. Like there's a scene where some of the Nebos, I can't remember, the things with the exposed brains.
Oh yeah.
So
the
some
fake,
monsters,
the clones they make, yeah.
Nabu, I think is anyway. And he just like grabs one by the face and just uses his hellfire to like burn it to a crisp in 2 seconds. And I was like, that's why he's the number 2 hero. Like,
yeah, you forget how strong he is.
Right. He's not All Might. Like All Might would win in a fight, but he's as close as it gets.
And he's then he becomes the number 1 hero. And you can tell that because they all have hero agencies, which is also funny. They do like internships in the agencies. It's clever. It's fast paced. Like you were saying.
So, do you like Endeavor or do you like All Might more?
All Might's my favorite. I mean, I have a freaking...
Really? Okay. So your favorite character in it is All Might. Is that what you're saying?
No, Midoriya is my favorite. All Might's number 2.
Okay. Really? Midoriya with the waterworks?
Not the waterworks. No.
Deku?
Midoriya.
You're talking about Deku, who's always crying in the first 2 seasons?
Hey, he's fighting his demons, okay? Leave him alone.
Eraserhead is my favorite character in the show.
Really? I would honestly think, because I know you're a massive Deadpool fan, is that guy who multiplies himself a lot.
He's cool.
he's a different character.
He's awesome.
They have a lot of similarities to, like, I was gonna go separate on the evil ones, but they have that I forget her name. The crazy chick who can turn into anybody, has knives everywhere.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, she's like a Harley Quinn type of crazy.
Yeah. Dude, the backstories are really fleshed out, even on the villains, like really fleshed out. So you just gave an example of Twice, and this is obviously we've entered spoiler territory, but the idea of someone who has multiplied themselves and had their like clones do slave work for them, and then when the slaves turn on each other and kill each other, he's not sure if he's the original or not, and he's insane because of it. Like, that's a really cool backstory and a really compelling backstory, and one I haven't seen before. And it's pretty dark.
Yeah, because he just wants to be loved, as most, villains are. He has his issues, but he's genuinely, like, he's loyal to those people who are loyal back to him.
Yeah, bit of a schizo, but he's cool.
Yeah, I mean, who isn't a schizo these days?
I'm surprised you don't like Eraserhead, walking around in his sleeping bag and so apathetic.
It's really random. No, he's kind of he's weird, man.
I like the way he fights though. How he can Eraserhead can eliminate people's quirks, and he has like specific I don't know, like rope or whatever that he has carried with him. Then he wraps people. I don't know. The way he combats though is really entertaining, and I like he's pretty quippy despite being so like apathetic. He's constantly got a quick quip, and
Is he Professor Snape for you?
I don't know, man. No, he's more like I don't know. He just cracks me up. Like I think he's witty. That's it. I don't know. There's something about Eraserhead I just like.
You just like witty people, I guess. I don't know. It's who you are.
I thought your favorite character would have been the French kid. Belly button laser.
Oh, dude. They have. So I don't know if they just ran out of heroes, but that one and the guy who just throws little sticky balls through his head.
Grape juice.
Like the biggest pervert you'll ever meet in a cartoon. Like I've had weird characters before in D&D, but I've never had anyone that thirsty running around.
No, not at all. It makes me uncomfortable often. Whenever he's in a scene,
Knights,
I'm like,
if you ever really want to hear my favorite line he ever makes off air, DM us and I'll tell you.
Yeah, I he's pretty cool. Are there any characters you could just basically like, I could get rid of them and wouldn't care?
There's a few of them that are dead. The one I wish we did a little bit more was Hawks. He's really cool. And
Dark Shadow? Are you talking about Dark Shadow?
No, Dark Shadow's gonna be my next one. He's the one who's like a bird and he has a bird inside of him. No, Hawk is the one who's Hawks. Like he has wings. He's like the number 3 hero.
Oh, I haven't seen him yet. So I haven't finished the series yet, Johnny. But that's okay.
Well, how far are you?
I think I'm through. I'm like halfway through season 3, almost to season 4.
Oh, okay, good. Because I think it's 3. It's 3 when they're like in some camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So season 3, I was watching this in my room, and it was probably when it came out, so pre-pandemic, maybe. Anyway, there was a part in 3 that motivated me so much. I got up, didn't go to the gym that day, and I was just so filled with like, yes, I'm gonna do it, energy, and I went and I lifted for like an hour. It motivated me.
What was the episode?
And it was something when they were trying to save the little girl. She was in the canyon, I think. Like, Deku went to go save her, and he was just saying something about like never give up. And then they play that little inspirational music, and then he just fought someone and he survived. And I go, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. And I got up and I left.
Is he fighting the guy who like can get stronger and stronger and stronger? I know
it could have been that guy.
And so I think it was I don't know actually if it was a little boy or a little girl, but his parents had been killed. They were heroes. They were like the water heroes. Is that who you're talking about?
Oh yeah. He's saving somebody.
Okay, yeah. No, that scene was pretty dramatic. And he's like, what does he say? All for 1,000,000%, and he just completely obliterates his arm doing it.
I love it when he does it too, because it just dangles like jello.
Yeah, like his arm is completely shattered, and they told him he could only do it like 2 or 3 more times before they wouldn't even work anymore.
It goes all the way out.
Which is pretty cool. Like, how often do you have a show where it's like, oh, we're going to set up these stakes, and then everything is fine, and there's no consequences and no lasting effects? On this one, it's like, no, you're gonna be like one of the kids' his sibling was paralyzed. Like, that's pretty consequential. Deku, almost can't use his arms anymore. I like that, and I like that the stakes are real.
Yeah, there's a lot. Just because you're born with a quirk doesn't mean you can't lose it. You can't be Pulse Ultra.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna ask you, what was your opinion on? I can't ask that. Let me switch gears. Do you like the guy who can like possess other people? He's got purple hair. His name is Hitoshi Shinso.
Oh, yeah. He's the one who I think is Class B, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The Class B and then the upper class is a little weird. Like the guy. Oh man, they call him Mr. 3000 or something. His real name's like Miro Togato.
What does he do?
No, he just has like full cape. He just it's kind of hard. It's a spoiler that I can't.
I know who you're talking about.
What?
I know who you're talking about. He can.
Yeah, he's just like super positive.
He's the phase guy.
Yeah.
So
No.
He can go into the ground and come back out, and he's got the huge grin, and he's blonde, and he's got really weird looking eyes.
Yeah. That one. Is that what he does?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's been a second since I've seen that one. Yeah, because he's so positive, right?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, so those like weird upperclassmen guys are pretty interesting.
Yeah. When we were talking about like whether or not you could take someone or leave them, I'm just trying to think if there's anyone. If I had to axe one character, it would probably be Grape Juice. Like he is just so perverted sometimes. I'm like,
that little tiny kid. Yeah,
I could get rid of him. or the guy with the tail. I don't really care for the guy with the tail.
Oh, the little monkey dude, the blonde dude.
Yeah, I don't like. Okay, he has a tail. Like I don't know. He keeps showing up and not doing anything. So I'm like, we should just get rid of him.
His balance is great. Yeah, no, I mean, there's some people like just useless quirks. But they finally find like the Frogger chick's kind of funny too, just because she like acts like a frog the whole time.
Ribbit. She says the word ribbit. She doesn't ribbit. She says the word ribbit, which is so stupid. Like I'm like. Every time I watch it, I can't believe that that's what they're doing. It's so lazy. Ribbit.
Have you seen the big fat guy yet?
Maybe.
He's literally called like Fat Gum. That's like his name.
No, I haven't seen him yet.
He's just big and fat, and they have a battle. He's a licensed hero. He's probably like 23rd in the world. And then he like does something because he just bounce off him. And then they do something and he burns all these calories and he's just shredded. And he's like, "Oh, I gotta eat. I look horrible." And it's the exact opposite of what most people want to look like. So that made me laugh. It's I think it's like on 4 or 5. He just gets like out of nowhere, just shredded. And they have this battle and he just exerts himself too much and he's like, "Oh man."
So let me ask you this question: excluding All for One and One for All. If you had to have a quirk, which quirk would you want? So you can't pick the humdinger or the two humdingers. You can't pick because that's cheating.
See, you don't know Hawks yet, dude. He's pretty dope.
I've seen him, so I've seen him like pop up and stuff. I recognize him, but we haven't like gone into his story a ton.
Yeah, because he's dope because he can fly, and his wings do gnarly things. So I like Hawks. I really do.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, because it's like the Shoto's pretty good, the fire and ice. But yeah, let's go with Hawks. All right.
I like that.
Who do you want? And don't say the tail guy, the little monkey dude.
Assuming that I couldn't, Eraserhead is in it, but like he doesn't really make a whole lot of sense with this is assuming I'm the only one with a quirk. I would want to be the airbender, Inasa Yorashi. He's the guy who can like create whirlwinds and stuff.
Oh, okay. I was thinking for a second the one chick who can float because she just floats around.
No, she's cool too, but no, I'd want to be the airbender because he can fly too, but he can actually control the air.
That is a cool one. There's also that one. I always forget her name. I can't find it. She can create anything from her stomach. Let's say stomach, sure.
Yeah, they call her Creator or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Momo.
Yeah. It's funny because they have like their hard to remember names, and then they have their hero names,
which are sometimes so stupid. I love it.
And it's so ridiculous their outfits when they start because freaking Dekuka, right, is a bunny.
Yeah.
What the freak? Like it's a weird like bunny.
That's what it looks like.
It gets kind of sorted out later seasons, but when it started, I was like, "Can I like this guy's supposed to be?" Because the whole premise around him is he's the #1 hero in the future, and he's retelling his story. And I was like, "How's this guy the #1 hero?" It's freaking bunny ears.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. It's funny how some of the outfits are like completely stupid, and then other ones are like some of the coolest outfits I've seen of any.
Oh yeah, like they really lean into like
extremes
and modest female.
Oh yeah, that is. I was gonna say if there's any bads, that would be one of mine. Is Grape Juice,
like
and then
super lean into that,
and then some of the thirsty outfits. I'm like, huh, kind of. It feels like a '90s comic book, like the Creator girl.
One of them I think it's like she's a top one. It's like Mistress something, and she legitimately is like wearing nothing. But But other ones are just cool. They have. Oh, have you gotten where they fought the other schools yet?
Yeah.
They're wanted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have that one. The one dude that's like a full-on like Russian-looking guy, but like the army. In Sanas, I don't even know his name, but it was really cool. He's like the head guy on the other school.
Yeah, Inasa. That's the one who's I like his outfit, but he's the one whose powers I'd want to have.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, that's a cool outfit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and like Ida, he's got the engines in his legs. His outfit's super cool.
Yeah, the Iron Man.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Iron Man. I think the outfit that hits the hardest though is freaking Endeavor with like a goatee made of fire. It's like,
dude, it's just all around him with fire.
It's
There's just flames like his eyebrows are flames, his mustache is flames, his goatee's a flame.
Dude, he's so metal. Would your mom like it?
What?
Would your mom like it?
No, she'd be like, someone put him out. He's gonna burn his face off.
Then it's cool.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Also, too, Twice is really cool. The one who looks like Deadpool.
He's cool.
I like Twice's outfit.
When he's not wearing the outfit, he's so debonair and suave. Like, and he's just like it's so funny how he goes from John Constantine to Deadpool with
that is good. I like that. John Constantine. That's a good one. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the minute he puts the mask on, it's like suddenly he's Deadpool, but without the mask, he's John Constantine, and he's super cynical and cool, and he's like mad. He's like Don Draper. He's Abed playing Don Draper.
Abed playing. So real life Abed. Ugh.
Exactly.
What do you think of Bakugo? Do you like his little? I like everything but the over dramatic arms.
I don't like the arms or the weird spikes on the back. The rest is fine. The big gauntlets are kind of dumb. And
Shota doesn't really have anything really. I feel like his is just like kind of the uniform.
Yeah, it's just like a jumpsuit.
Yeah. This one girl I used to work with at the gym wore like their Class A uniform, and I'm like, we can be friends. We can be friends.
What's funny is I remember seeing Shoto a bunch at like all of our fan X's. Like he's there all like. He's played by everyone, and I never knew if the character was a girl or a guy because like everyone was wearing his outfit. So I was always curious. I was always curious, like, who is this person? So then I watch the show, I'm like, I get it. I get why they like him, and I get why they're dressed up as him, and why you can identify with him. He had boiling water poured on his face. He's basically Zuko, but a little different.
Yeah. Calmer.
What's that?
But calmer, he's really calm.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Zuko's super emotional, kind of like Bakugo. I love that Shoto is so not emotional. Like, he's all just
very
driven
level-headed.
Quiet. Yeah, and he's super technical, like in terms of, you know, like engaging in a battlefield and everything else. He's got it super, like, wired for it.
Yeah, he's like, he knows he's a legacy. He knows his dad is who he is, but he still needs to prove it that he's the best.
Well, it's crazy. So here, let me pose this for you, Johnny. Let's say All Might never got injured. Do you think that Shoto could eventually have surpassed him? Because Endeavor's whole reason for creating him or for having him was because he wanted him to pass All Might at some point.
I mean, Fire and Ice is great, but All Might has all the might, right? So he has more than. This is spoilers again. So based on where you're at, I still, you know what? He might, because he's just as strong as his dad with the flames, right?
Right.
And then he has the ice from his mom.
Right.
I think he could. Level playing field, right? Him in 10 years.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's kind of an interesting thought. But then again, I feel like we never really see All Might going all out. The only time that we kind of, like, so there's two times, and they're my two favorite episodes. There's one where Bakugo and Midoriya are their teammates, and they have to like escape. Like it's teachers versus two students. Does this sound familiar? And they have to escape the ring and get away from All Might.
Oh yeah,
dude! And All Might just like flings them around the ring like ragdolls. Yeah.
He loves it, dude.
He's just laughing and punching them, and he's like, "I'm a villain now." And there's one point where like Deku is like thrown, like Bakugo like launches him towards the exit, and All Might catches him in midair and like completely changes the trajectory and just yeets him into this school bus, like into it. You know what I'm talking about?
I feel like you would be the best All Might because you just have a blast being silly.
No, All Might's cool, but I was
But
gonna
how
ask,
much? Hey, how about it throw you off when All Might when he turns regular and he looks like a freaking like smoker guy from
for the first time. The first time it happened, I was like, "What's going on?" I thought he was storing up his energy because there's a book series I like where they can store energy, but they have to like be really sickly for a while, and then when they finally they can store up strength. It's a Brandon Sanderson book, and then when they expand, they basically look like All Might when they use it up. It's pretty. It's a good series
because they can do that. I mean, even like in Denver, Denver. Whoa.
Endeavor.
Yeah, thank you. He can overexert himself.
Yeah.
Get tired. They do that, right?
You can outuse your quirk.
Your quirk, yeah. Which makes it really interesting too. And I like how the cops are all like following them and and the support team, right? They have sidekicks, right? But it's not like called sidekick school when you just you work under the head. Like, oh, we're from the talent agency. We're from this agency, right? But then the weird one, the only weird agency is like the all hot chick agency. Mm-hmm. Have you been to that far yet?
I think so.
Yeah, it's when they go do their internship.
Yeah, and the two girls are with the super hot lady, and she's like,
yeah, and all they do is just like they're like Instagram famous.
Yep. I was gonna ask you, so you get the idea that okay, 80% of the population has a quirk, but most of the quirks are pretty useless, right? Like that's kind of the impression I've gotten. Like you see a lot of police officers and other detectives and all this other stuff, but I would say most of the students have quirks where it's like, Shoto's beating up adults right from the get. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know. Like even
to get to that school too, right? It's like it's higher learning. You can't have a quirk and just go to that school. You have to earn admittance to it, right? There's other versions of it, but that's like the top school, like UA, right? That's where you want to go. So that's where all the best crop goes.
There's a lot of quirks that are pretty useless, right? Can you think of any useless quirks, just out of curiosity, that we've seen?
The Frogger one's pretty useless. Rip it. No. Well, also, how does the guy in UA that just throws sticky balls everywhere? Yeah. No, I just keep thinking of the Family Guy episode where they all get superheroes and Meg just grows her nails out. And they're like, that's all you can do? And he scratches them and he goes, ow, though, but is that all you do? As far as in the show, they have a really good point of, I guess not showing them because some of them turn into like petty theft crimes, right? They're like,
yeah,
they just go and rob a store or they do something. The weaker quirks, right?
Right.
As far as I can tell.
We've seen a lot of that where people like, oh, we can, I don't know, turn into a dump truck, or whatever. Like there's a lot of kind of like, I'm trying to think, like the grape juice one's pretty useless. He can throw sticky balls and that's it. And we're giving him and he's in the top school. So you have to know that there's some guy who can just grow his nails out.
It can be useful when they use the whole premise is how to use your ability to the fullest, right? It is very inspiring. I will give it this, man. Whenever I feel down, I'll watch a few of those and I like to relate to characters, so it's easy for me to relate to, someone who had to earn it, right? They're not legacy, they're not overpowered. Someone who has to earn it and cares more about, kind of like Captain America, right? When he started, he didn't want to fight, he didn't want to kill Nazis, he just hates bullies, right? So that's something I always thought with Midoriya is he just doesn't like to see people get hurt.
Right.
So it's very inspiring that way. So that's what I really enjoy.
Well, we see a lot of cops that just have to use rifles and stuff because they can't. They don't have quirks, or they're not very useful.
They don't really address it, but I wonder if it goes on about losing quirks later, but if it diminishes a little bit the power, right? There's this new Netflix show about ghost hunters. It's this British show about kid ghost hunters. And the older they get, they lose the talent. So I wonder if there's a thing where they kind of lose the talent, or it's kind of like, you're playing college football and you're like, hey, you're not in the NFL, but you can be a sportscaster, right?
Right.
So I guess it's like, hey, you can you can warm up your fingers to get to 100 degrees, but that's you're just heating a pot. So go work at a restaurant.
Right. There was one character who could turn into a telescope, and they could telescope their body into itself. I don't know if you remember that. So they were like dodging stuff by compressing, but that was all they could do. So
I want to be in that writer room, like running out of ideas. Telescope? All right, let's throw it in there.
I can produce a lot of earwax, or yeah, I don't know. I think one can blow bubbles. So
like, that's it?
Yeah, like I was just looking at a quick list of some of the most useless ones because I was curious, trying to remember some of the most useless things I'd seen. And the thing is there are a lot of bystanders. You know what I mean?
So many
that either are quirkless or just have lousy quirks.
Or maybe just some of them like, hey, my dad is a rich lawyer. I'm going to be a rich lawyer too. I don't need to use my powers, right?
Right. If your power is I can see two times, I can zoom in my vision. It's like, well, it's not very useful.
You can read a menu or lurk at traffic, but
you'd be a great Uber driver.
Right. Oh, there it is. An open spot. Oh no, traffic up ahead. But yeah, they're the good thing is like they move around a lot. Like, hey, one time we're out of school, and then we're at a park, and then they're not just in as Albert put it, it's not a bottle episode, right? They're not just in Hogwarts running around, right? They're all over the city. They're training, always training. And then I do like how they do fast forward through the summer. Like, oh yeah, I went home for the winter. Next episode, all right, I'm back at school.
Yeah, some of the narration gets a little bit old for me. Like, there are times where he'll narrate stuff, and I'm like, you didn't need to narrate that. Like, I can see it happening.
Yeah, when they go over here's what they did in their internship, and he narrates it, I'm like, it's there. They're showing them patrolling.
Yeah, exactly. She mostly was patrolling as it's literally showing it. Like,
yeah,
she learned how to knife fight, and you're watching the clip. Speaking of which, with the knife fights, do you like Uraraka, so the Invisible Girl? Do you like her and Midoriya? Do you ship them, or
the Invisible Girl? I thought he's with the floating one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to say the Invisible Girl.
Uraraka?
I meant to say the zero gravity. Yeah, is Uraraka.
Yeah. Yeah, yes and no, but I feel like that was just a cop out. Like, they didn't let him grow, try other people out. It's kind of like you walk in, you meet Hermione, and you're like, all right, you're the one for me because you were nice to her. Because they bump into her, and she was nice to him.
Right.
I do like the one that creates everything. That's my favorite one.
The bustiest of them all.
I was gonna say just the darkest hair of them all, but yeah.
I like the Tinker Girl, the one who.
She's cool. The Alexis Templeton. That doesn't sound right.
Mei Hatsume.
There we go. Underneath it has. I don't know if that's who voice acts them.
I think that's the voice actress.
Okay. I like it because it's like that's who she is. And she loves that, like nothing else, right? Like, if someone has a cool new idea, she's all for it.
I know, I love it. I really like. There's a scene where she like blows up the ward and lands on Deku, and the other girl, Uraraka, is super jealous about it.
Yeah, they get very angry quickly on these shows. Yeah, and it's kind of weird. So we're in like right now. In my head, I'm like, how far can they go? Because typically animes don't go very long.
Right.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
And they've had movies too. They've had, I think, 2 movies. And the movies is just one story that has nothing to do with anything. Like, oh, they all go away for a weekend to camp. Here's a movie. But they're in like season 6. And I'm like, are they going to graduation? Because technically they're not even second year. They might just be second year out of a 4-year school, right? And I know the pandemic slowed everyone down. But I'm curious, how far are they going to go?
It's like the opposite of Community. Like, 2 seasons are supposed to be 2 years, guys. Most community colleges is 2 years.
Right,
like,
yeah. You mean a 4-year college?
And you're trying to do 6 seasons? What are we doing here? Like, it's the reverse issue.
Yeah, and it's not like like I said, they can knock out a season with only like 2 things. Like, the first half of the season is there's this big bad guy and they have to fight him. And then the second half of the season is them like hanging out at school.
Right.
So it's not like it's time leaped very fast. But animes don't go long. That's why I'm curious. I mean, I don't remember any of them. I think Attack on Titan is going on 5, but it's time warped. It's not year by year.
Right. I mean, technically, Dragon Ball Z has like 40 different renditions of the show with like 60,000 seasons, but that's the outlier. You know what I mean? And that's
but is it the same main cast?
I don't know if it's the same voice actors.
No. But is it the same storyline?
So the thing is that they've kind of like how DC Comics has rebooted a bunch of stuff. Like they do the same thing where it's like, oh, we're telling a similar story with the same characters, but different stories, basically. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, okay. They got their own Flashpoint.
exactly. And it's or like, oh, we're telling a Batman story, and there's no Justice League in this. We're telling a Goku story, and there's no aliens in this. Or so they've done a bunch of like reboots or whatever. I think there always are aliens, if I'm being totally honest, but. Yeah, it's like Dragon Ball Z 2020 or Dragon Ball Z Rebirth or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I gotcha.
Dragon Ball Z Unlimited.
So far, My Hero's only done like, hey, if there's like a battle going on, hey, this is 4 episodes of what this half's doing, and then at the exact same time, this is what the other half is doing, and that's like a 12 episode span. I mean, it's cartoons and it's it is I think the most popular Funimation, because they're not Ghibli Studio, right? They're Funimation.
Yeah, it probably
they're not
is.
Ghibli.
No.
So I think they're the number one Funimation. Yeah, it's animation with but fun studio, and overall, I think it's one of the top, like everywhere. True purist like anime people think it's kind of silly or cartoony. Like I said, this is way more mainstream.
Yeah, but they like love Castlevania and like they want it to be like super super sexualized and super hyper violent and super like dark, and a lot of anime is like that. I like that this one isn't that way.
Like I said, this one is one that I can watch and not like feel awkward if someone walks in. I don't know how to put it. It's just not weird.
You don't feel judged for watching it.
Yeah, and it's not like you're eating humans.
Yeah.
But it's a good. I like it a lot. I always said I'm not huge into anime, but this one I have a big fan base. I have a lot of pins, a lot of action figures, based on Hero.
So, have you watched One Punch Man yet?
I got like 4 episodes in.
I hate you so much.
Because I think Netflix didn't have it, but Hulu had it dubbed. I get that he's empathetic or doesn't care. I couldn't twist, man. Maybe I'll try it again. I didn't love 7 Deadly Sins at first, but I really got into it.
Okay, try it again. It's my favorite anime, even more than My Hero Academia, and I think even more than Avatar.
Wasn't there only 2 seasons of One Punch Man?
So far, there's just been the 2 seasons. They're making more.
In like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah, it takes them forever, and there's only like 13 episodes in a season, so it's like, and it's majorly popular. Like I don't get it.
Yeah, because My Hero gets like 25 a season. They'll knock it out.
Yeah.
It just takes a second to get dubbed just because of like rules and stuff. But yeah, because I was like, One Punch Man, anytime I go to conventions, like, he's still a big deal.
Yeah, Saitama's a huge deal. I was going to ask, what are your thoughts on Avatar The Last Airbender all of a sudden getting all these spin-off stories and everything else? Are you for it or against it?
Yeah, I don't have a childhood passion like you do for Airbender. I watched it all. I watched Korra first, smartly, because then that way I can knock it out and not complain.
Yeah, not hate it. You watched The Hobbit before you watched Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, right? Then you'll be like, oh, okay, I get why one is a better story and one is kind of like a rushed thing at the end. But I'm for it, man. It's there's a lot you can do with it still. There's this whole teenage years too that they didn't even touch, right? Or I guess early 20s.
Yeah, teenage years, like late teen, early 20s.
Yeah. There's like a whole story behind it that you can still push.
Yeah, I kind of wish that Korra had taken place like years and years later, because I feel like it would be more interesting to learn about Aang rather than know like, oh, he's gonna make Republic City. Okay.
Oh, I gotcha.
I wish Korra was like, oh, my great Avatar father.
Like 100 years in the future, not like 40.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what they do in. So have you ever heard of Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson? Okay.
No.
So Mistborn is one of his bigger novels, Brandon Sanderson's bigger novels, and he has sequels to it that are like 300 years later, and like the characters of the original series are like viewed as like deities, and the way they talk about them, it's like, oh, they always knew what they were doing, and there's all these jokes and stuff, and it would be saying like, "Oh, Sokka was a master strategist, like he was a genius." You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, he was, but also like he didn't always know what he was doing. Like he was riding by the seat of his pants a lot of the time. Like it's kind of a fun like the way things are written down and viewed hundreds of years later is like these are, infallible people, and it's like no, definitely not. Aang
that's what his story is all about, right? It's his story, telling it, and then you believe it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it would have been funner if it had been treated more like that rather than like, oh, I knew Aang, he died 10 years ago.
He was just here yesterday.
Yeah. Korra, you suck.
She does suck. She's all right. I actually didn't mind it too much, but because I started after.
So it has one of the best seasons. Like I would say that I like season 3 of Korra better than I like season 1 of Avatar.
So, okay, that's true. I see what you're saying.
But she has some terrible ones too. Yeah, the first season's fine. Like it's okay. But the third season with Zahir is like unbelievably good. Like talk about a cool villain.
Yeah, and then Korra got ahead of herself. Which I'm going to call back to My Hero of, I don't know where they're going to go. Like, we know the end game, right? Like, we knew Aang was going to be the Avatar, right, at the end game.
Right.
We know that Midoriya is going to be the man in the future.
Right.
I'm like, are they just going to cut it off? Like, I just realized that today, because I'm like, wait, we're in season 6, and it's kind of like, I want to say it's their second year out of 4, but that's still like that's like they're getting their driver's license. They still need to.
And he hasn't fixed the League of Villains yet, has he? Like they're still out there, aren't they?
Yes. I didn't want to go any further than yes.
But they're not resolved, right?
Oh no. I'm on. So a lot of stuff happens, right?
Right.
It transitions a little bit, but no, they're kind of more organized. How about that? They're more organized on 6.
Okay.
Because when they kind of start, they're just like in some bar, getting together, right?
Yeah.
They're more organized with like how the heroes have their crappy foot soldiers, they have their crappy foot soldiers. So it's more organized. It's more of like a real threat. To it, because I think the premise is that the League of Villains kind of like don't take over, but they do so good of a job. That's when Midoriya like kicks into next gear and goes for it. I don't know for sure. Like I said, they could have 15 seasons of this. Who knows, right?
Right.
It's that popular.
Right. It's.
And it takes you, and there's only 2 big stories for a season, so it's not like you knock out a year in one season. Right.
We haven't even talked about the guy who's scratching his neck with the hand over his face.
He's a big deal. That's a weird outfit too, because he has hands all over. It threw me off the first time. There's hands everywhere.
Yeah. And
I'm like, what does he do? Is he like Medusa? It's very weird.
Yeah. But really, his just decay, right? Which is a pretty cool quirk to just be able to touch something and have it decay.
Yeah. He's sneakily powerful. And again, he's like probably 19 or 20, right? So he's younger than like the big villains, but he's also ready to grow.
Yeah.
What are your? So it's exciting to see him.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Stain?
Which one's Stain?
He's the one who kind of like inspires all the villains in the beginning. He can like lick his blade and like paralyze you. He's the one who attacked Ito's brother. He's got the bandana over his face and long hair, and he's kind of the one who sets it all in motion.
Oh, that dude. Yeah. He's creepy, dude.
Way freaking creepy, right?
Yeah, he has like that like Ninja Turtle look without being a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah, he looks like a Ninja Turtle. I thought same thing too.
Yeah. But he has, I think they call it, he has no, pardon the French, F's to give. Like, he does not care.
Only one person is worthy enough to kill me.
Right? Yeah, he just doesn't care. Like, he's He's a cool character, man. I got mad because I like to go to like Walmart and Target to get figurines.
Yeah.
And they have a cool hero section sometimes, and they had his, and I'm like, eh. And then I go back the next day, it's gone.
Oh.
I know it'll come back. Just because he's kind of weird looking, like
but he's cool,
kind of creepy. Yeah,
I do.
And he does set it off because they're not used to villains being out of control, right?
And having such like strong ideals, like it's always, I just wanted to rob this ATM. They're kind of just like trying to survive like cockroaches, but he was like the inverse of All Might. He'd recognized all the problems with these hero societies where people are getting paid and are more celebrity than hero, and all the issues with it, and he took issue with it. And
yeah, he's trying to clear it out, man. He's trying to clean not to get political, clean the swamp. Oh.
Yeah, he was like a martyr, you know what I mean, for all the other people on the edge. So I kind of liked that, and then I liked the way he set up All Might as, he really is the symbol of peace, and All Might really is a good superhero, good person. I like that All Might is like that, and Stain, everyone acknowledges it. People say that a few times throughout the series, like, only All Might can kill me. He's the only one who's worthy.
Red, white, and blue. Red, white, and blue in Japan. Blonde hair, red, white, and blue in Japan.
Young Midoriya.
And then when he loses himself, he's just some little druggy guy walking around.
Which version do you like more?
I forgot about Stain. That's good. You're making me want to rewatch this now from the beginning.
I love All Might's little other version. He's so sincere. And he still has a deeper voice. Yeah.
As a little guy.
I love it.
Come on, Midoriya, you must fight to do what you do. And then he's All Might. Hello, everyone. I am All Might. He emotes different as All Might.
He totally does. It's almost like they're two different. He's basically another Twice.
Yeah, that's true. Schizo. And no one knows the secret, man. It's a told story differently, I guess how I want to put it. We've seen superheroes, we've seen this, but it's different enough.
Yeah. That
you want to watch it. And again, what's cool that people grow, so the class grows together. Like, that the first 6 months they're not really that close, but when they go through battle, you can tell the kinship of them growing, all the young students.
Totally. And I like Midoriya is very good at correcting bad behavior, or he's almost like a therapist to some degree in the heat of battle. Like Soto refuses to use his right half for years.
Oh yeah, to spite.
And to spite his dad. And Midoriya is like, it's your quirk, not his.
He's just a total nerd. He has everyone's moves memorized. And what are you doing, man?
Funny. He's the biggest nerd I've ever seen portrayed.
But it's cool though. I like it. It's very. I always tell people, if you don't like anime, try this one because you'll like it. Or maybe if you don't like, because anime has a sting to it sometimes, a stigma for it, which I get. But this one was different though. I was inspired many times by watching this.
I would agree. I do love the French guy. Just real quick, I gotta just quickly touch on him. He's got a navel laser, and he's his room is so over the top, and there's just something about him, his style that just cracks me up. There's this scene where
perfect.
Yeah, there's this scene where the astronaut looking, I don't know, black hole chick is trying to suck him and another hero up, the zero gravity girl. And he's like, "Oh, you look deep in thought. Are you thinking about Midoriya?" You like him, don't you? Why would you say that in that moment? Or there's another scene where Ito is running around as everyone's fighting in this big battlefield, and he comes around a corner and he's just sitting there smiling in the fetal position, just such a great character to have. It's just so unusual.
I feel like that would be one of your one-shot random D&D characters you would make. That makes no sense.
Absolutely, that sounds exactly like what that is.
Just some random. Where's the superpower? A belly button?
And he gets a tummy ache. If he uses it too much, he gets a tummy ache.
And surprisingly, it's powerful. All right, let's.
Final thoughts, Johnny, as we kind of close out our.
It's a great show. I recommend it. They have dubs, they have subs, whatever you want to portray. But yeah, let us know, Knights. Let us know if you like it or not. It's one of my top animes. It really is. Out of the 5 that I watch, it's on my top 5.
I know that's the thing is like I always think I'm a nerd, and then like I go to Comic-Con or FanX, and I'm like, Johnny, what is that? Like, who is that? Yeah. And you're like, some anime. Some anime. Like,
in anime, people know their names and they can pronounce it so well. Oh yeah, Bakubara. And I go, cool. I wish I could be as awesome as you guys because there's so much you can watch for anime.
Oh yes, Uyuraka. But they say it like perfectly, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. And why do you like this character? And then they'll give you a spiel, and you're like, all right, I like him now too.
I like I like One Punch Man because Saitama and Genos is a lot easier to pronounce than Toru Hagakure or Momo Yaoruza. Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible.
And then out of nowhere, Stain.
I know.
Hawks.
All
for one.
Fat Gum.
One for all.
Isn't that what it is? Fat Gum.
Fat Gum, dude. He's funny. I can't wait till you get to him. Just because he's fat, then he gets ripped and he's embarrassed.
I like when Eraserhead is so apathetic. He just does not care. And he's like, I don't know what my hero name should be. And the guy with like the speakers, the blonde dude who's always announcing stuff, is like,
Mike, dude.
You should call yourself Eraserhead. It's like, okay.
And it's weird because they went to school together. Like these people, they grow up together. These older heroes all went to school together, so they all have backstories too. So there's a lot of backstory to it.
And I like that they're friends. Like you wouldn't. It feels like they're friends. You know what I mean? You can sense it in how they talk and the way they're portrayed. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but not a spoiler, but you learn more about their backstory.
Right.
It gets really cool.
Yeah.
You start to understand what makes them. So it's really cool.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. No Hubba Bubba required.
No Hubba Bubba Fat Gum required.
I like that. All right, Knights. What do you think of My Hero Academia? Are you going to watch it now that it's got Johnny's official stamp of approval on it? His official endorsement?
Love anime.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe, and we will catch you on the Flippity Flop.
Flippity flip.